Good afternoon and welcome to Titan Talk. Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. Today I have myself, Captain Coop, and I have a special guest with me today. Due to Major McFarland being preoccupied, he was unable to make it. I have a wonderful, fantastic, I'm totally lying, no, I'm kidding, Mr. Lieutenant Roberts. Thank you. Yay.
Standing ovation.
Yeah, I was
Haven't
trying
missed anything yet.
a little bit of crowd, you know.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining me. I'm glad I was able to steal you last second. Legitimately walked into the office, and I was like, "Hey, can I steal him? I need him for the podcast." And his boss goes, "Sure." He just kind of looked at me like, "What did I do?"
It's not like I have problems to solve or anything.
No, of course not. So thanks for joining us, guys. I appreciate it. Dylan, I see you in there. Hey. First a comment. So it's surprised you didn't put first.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, guys. Today we're going to be doing a little talking about training, the importance of it, as we continue to try and bring this podcast to something that's a little bit more knowledge-based to give you guys some better information and everything. So the big thing we wanted to talk about today was training and the importance of not only your first training, but continued training and things to look out for, bad training and things like that. So we have some fantastic stories about training. We actually do continue training for ourselves to make sure that we as supervisors are up to par. That's actually what Major McFarland's in the middle of, is some supervisor training, making sure that that team has the continued training and knowledge base for them. So we appreciate it. But Mr. Roberts, do you have anything to say about training? Some good pointers? Because this is your first security job, isn't it?
Not my first security job.
Hold on. Your camera is not working.
Oh,
That's why.
disembodied voice.
Well, I was used to it being one button. Now it's another button, so that's messed me up.
Not my first security job, but first time I've taken seriously.
Okay. No names.
Yeah, no names. The other security that I worked for didn't have any actual training. And then when I signed up for Titan, we actually got some basic DT training down in the training room. And that's probably what kicked off my first impression with Titan.
So let me ask you this. Given the fact that you started with another company that didn't do training, I've heard stories, good and bad, about training from other companies. Something that I've heard a lot of the time is they give us a 4-hour movie, kind of, and then they give us a uniform and kick us out in the field. I've heard that one a lot, or they'll walk you through a slideshow that takes an hour and 45 minutes, take you up to get uniforms and say your first post is on Thursday, good luck. And so I don't know if that's what you came from, but coming from a company that didn't do as much training, transitioning to a company with as much training that we do, do you see a value difference in how you acted in the field and how it came to you, represented itself to you as a security officer when you got there?
It was a stark difference. I have basic experience with wrestling, and even then I was not comfortable out in the field because I knew what I was capable of. If somebody has not been properly trained, they are going to encounter a situation where they think they can do what they can't. They're going to put themselves in harm's way, and I've seen it happen. And they're going to try and muscle their way through, and most of the time you're going to lose that fight.
Absolutely. That's where the importance of that first training is. Now, I know that it can get a little difficult with training, remembering, understanding, processing, all of that stuff. But that's where that kind of value of that first training, where you get introduced into that, even having a wrestling background, because this was my first security job. Never having any security training, no defensive tactics training, anything like that. Having the amount of training, because even when I started, a decade ago, the training was more than what was offered by other companies. And so having that level of addition, I guess you could say, of additional training, where when we were sitting in class, our Chief Leon, who was actually our instructor when I started, he sat everybody down, walked us through what was going to happen, how it was going to work, what he wanted us to do, and taking that time to have that hands-on experience where you got to not only participate and be the suspect, but be the good guy where you're learning that stuff. I think that hands-on makes the world of difference when you're doing that. And coming from a wrestling background where you've got some hands-on experience defending yourself. I don't never wrestled, so I don't really know.
It's whole different feeling.
Yeah. So having that level of hands-on, did that change kind of your outlook on how you were able to defend yourself?
Absolutely. In a wrestling sense, my job is not to get you on your. And we experienced this a couple weeks ago when we did DT, where we're trying to figure
some
out
additional training.
Yeah. So yeah, and we were trying to figure out different moves, and I was sitting there trying to figure it out in my head, and I can't come up with a solution because all I know is to get you on your back. I can't handcuff you on your back.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there at a complete loss because my experience means absolutely nothing.
And the funny thing is I was sitting there in the same boat, but the only experience I have is from here. Mm-hmm. And so the multiplicity of us that was downstairs, I think there was 5 of us down there trying to dig through and understand how we could make that transition and make it work. Even with my decade of experience in security and my continued training that way, the instructor we had who has his experience and his instructor schooling experience, we had you with your wrestling background, and then we had another officer who's got a extensive defensive background.
Mixed martial arts, yeah.
All mulling over how to make this work. You know, it's having that level of we had the instructor, we have a wrestling background. So we got 3 people that I would say are more experienced in self-defense than I am because of the backgrounds that they hold, and 2 of which, one's an instructor, one's a mixed martial artist who's been in that for years, sitting there kind of banging our heads against the mats going, how do we fix this? How do we come up with it? Even then, it shows the importance of how that training applies and how that continued training goes with it.
Absolutely.
So having that first step is wildly important because it introduces you into a whole new realm of defending yourself. If you're going from boxing, MMA, wrestling, whatever, all of those are fantastic to have because it gives you a sense of defending yourself. But at the same time, there's a limitation because it's designed to do one thing, not the other.
Absolutely.
So bridging that gap is kind of where that training with the security company comes into play, and having that is extremely important.
It's
with
crucial.
the hands-on.
It is crucial. You absolutely need that out in the field. Without it, you're sitting there at a loss, but you don't have time to sit there and bang your head on the mat trying to figure out what to do.
Right.
Because you're either that guy's going to turn around and attack you again, or he's gone.
Yeah. Preacher, thanks for joining us. Good to see you. Absolutely. And so that first step, if you've never, and there's nothing wrong, you know, I've seen it before where people are nervous in training the first time. They're like, hey, I don't have any background. I don't know what I'm doing. That's fine. You're a blank slate. That means that you're going to retain more. It's going to go easier.
Moldable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't either. I had zero. The only experience I had in defending myself were fights. And that doesn't count. I don't care. The street fight is not something that you're going to use to defend yourself. I think it applies some experience to taking a hit when necessary, but outside of that, I don't think it really applies to anything. Because what we do in defending ourselves is extremely different from a fight. Because I'm not looking to put somebody in pain. I'm looking to get them in a situation where I can get them in handcuffs and keep everybody in the area safe.
Yep. Not only that, but with the uniform on, you have a lot more limitations.
Absolutely.
At legal and ethical, where you cannot do the vast majority of things that you can do if you were in street clothes on the street corner and somebody comes up to you.
Yeah. One of the things that we teach in training is open palm strikes versus punching somebody in the face.
Yep.
Because I don't want to punch you. I don't want to cause pain. I'm not here to hurt somebody. I'm here to defend myself and to defend the people around me. So we use an open palm strike. And so learning the difference between the two and how to actually use that is extremely important. Especially for somebody with a wrestling background where you guys don't strike at all. You guys are grabby.
Yep.
You know, and so having that apply and show can help bridge the gap and help a better understanding of it.
The optics is vastly different from when somebody's taking a video of you of a fight on the street corner, or somebody's taking video of a Titan security officer just absolutely beating on somebody.
Yeah.
The optics is
wildly different.
Yeah.
Wildly different from when you see 2 random people fighting versus a security officer or a police officer. It's wildly different. And you'll notice that in all law enforcement jobs or first responder security.
Yep.
None of them teach fighting. They teach self-defense, how to defend myself and defend somebody else, because we're not there to fight. We're not here to cause issues. We're not here to do that stuff. We're here solely to defend.
Yep.
That's our entire role is defending. So we don't teach fighting, we teach defense. All of our skills are defending this person right here, you know, because that's what I'm doing is I'm not looking to instigate a fight. Everything we teach, de-escalation, you know, all of our open hand techniques and everything, it's all defensive nature because that's what we're trying to do is we're just trying to defend. We're not here to attack. We're not here to do that stuff. So having that knowledge bridge is fantastic. Thank you. So let me ask you this. When it comes to training and making that, bridging that gap, having a wrestling background, because like I said, I don't have that background. Having a wrestling background, what is something that you would recommend to a new security officer who is got little to no background in that kind of defending? Is there something that they can do, a class they can take, something you'd recommend that you think would be helpful for that?
Well, Major Roses is starting a regular, fingers crossed, regular DT schedule to see if we can get some of the lesser experienced people in and just go over the basics, get people in, get them more comfortable. That way they know how to defend themselves and they don't get hurt or get somebody hurt.
Okay. What about somebody who's not a Titan officer?
Not a Titan officer. What
do you think would make a good resource for something like that?
Mixed martial arts, any kind of dojo or training school, even if it's just the basics, even if it's just a couple months worth, you go for a year, you may end up enjoying it, but just having a basic level of how your body moves and how to move other people is phenomenal when it comes to any type of work in the field.
You know, when we talk about training, there's multiple trainings that we do as well, as, including with our armed officers with firearms. And I didn't honestly make the connection until just now, but a lot of what self-defense is, or a lot of what we do, it's body mechanics and using a body mechanic either with you or against somebody else to get them in a position where you can manipulate that. And the body mechanics is when it comes to like holding, drawing the firearm, or when it comes to positioning somebody, it's all about using the body mechanics of that person to get them in the correct position. And that's a lot of what it is understanding. That's a good one, of the body mechanics of how your body is supposed to move. Because not every body moves the same way. Some of them got a little messed up shoulders, knees, hips, whatever. Right. There's always going to be a little bit of a difference, but the basic understanding of that body mechanics and how the ergonomics of that works.
The difference between a good wrestler and somebody that would be looking for state champion is the level of capability of moving your weight around. If you can throw your weight around the right way, or you can apply pressure in the right places with your weight, you're going to beat just about anybody.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter how small or how big you are. If you can use your weight to your advantage and use your opponent's weight to your advantage, you're going to win.
Now, there's something to be said about size. Size does apply in most regards, but at the same time, even being me, I'm on the smaller side for someone in security or law enforcement and that type of. I'm on the smaller side, but I still know how to use my body mechanics against somebody else's and get that, like you're saying, using their weight with my weight to get the movement I need. And so even though I'm on the smaller side, I still have that as an advantage. Now, is it the end all be all that's going to, no, it's not going to win every engagement, but it gives me a better advantage to keep myself and others safe.
If you're out in the field and you encounter somebody that is twice as big as you, twice as strong as you, you're not going to be going hands-on. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. You're not going to be going hands-on. You're going to delay until PD can get there.
Absolutely. Never want to put yourself in an unsafe situation. And that was one of the things we go over in training is if you get into a situation and you're looking at it, you're like, I can win this. This is not a winnable thing. Call for help. Call for backup, because either we can get PD out there, or you can get PD out there and get that backup to get more than one person in it to get the defensive stuff in.
Especially if you're working in downtown, or you have no idea what some of these people could be on. And if it's PCP,
you're not going to win.
It doesn't matter how much stronger or how much bigger you are than that person. He's not going to comply.
About 6 years ago, I was in the north downtown area off one of our avenues. And I got a call from one of our avenue guys asking for help. And I went down there and we wrestled this guy for 25 minutes. And I mean, it took everything we had to get him into a position where we could get finally. I mean, it was 25 minutes of struggling, but we were wiped afterwards, absolutely exhausted of 25 minutes of struggling. And when we finally got him secured and detained, PD rolled up probably another 25 minutes after that, and we were still panting heavy.
But I'm sure he was just fine.
And he was like nothing had happened. And go to find out, I think it was a week later when they finally reached out for us for a court date, confirming they would need us as witnesses. And they had run a drug test on him, and he was high on PCP.
Oh, yeah.
And even the cops were like, "We don't know how two of you did it." We're like, it took us 20 minutes to get him in the right spot. Like, and we were dragged across the ground. He got, it was a 3-way battle of who can stand the longest, and we barely made it.
Now, imagine you're in a world where there's iPhones and cameras everywhere. And
Well, we were.
Oh,
We were.
Yeah.
It wasn't as prevalent as it is nowadays. You don't have somebody every 5 feet recording everything, but there were still. I mean, this was on camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had the video footage we had to take it. We had to go to court with it. We had the video footage from it. And you could absolutely see us struggling. Like, it was real apparent that we had problems.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those like, oh, this was an easy. No, like there was a moment where you watched me get dragged 2 or 3 feet on my back.
Yep.
Like, just trying to hang on to this dude to get him into the position. He just stood up and dragged me across the ground, and I was just laying there like, this is gonna hurt.
And how much experience and training did you have at that point?
I think I was at 4 years. Yeah, 4 years.
And did you take a decent amount of training courses, DT?
So I had what Titan had initially given me, and then I had a couple of friends that we had gone out and went to a defensive class, I guess you could call it. It was a self-defense class on how to absorb punches and kind of like how to defend yourself. It wasn't anything official. A friend of ours was a friend of my friend. Was a trainer, and he wanted to experiment and test on people. And I was like, well, sure, I'll take some. I'll stand there and get
Sounds
beat
like
up
fun.
on. Yeah. And so, I mean, I had probably 3 or 4 months of that, but I mean, it was nothing official. But I mean, it was that, and then we did DT. Me and a few of the supervisors periodically would do DT with each other, kind of like what we're trying to do now.
Yep.
And just remain up on the fresh, on our refreshers and keep up on the basics and stuff like that. So, I mean, at that time, the level of experience now that I would have had a lot better chance. But I mean, I'm still going to get dragged across the ground.
Yeah.
Like I was high.
It would have. It may not have been 20 minutes. It probably still would have been 15.
Yeah.
But
Like I said, even now, I'm not going to say I'm not going to struggle with somebody who's high. I'm absolutely going to struggle with somebody who's high. But I think I stand a better chance now with my decade of experience and service and understanding and the classes I've been through for that. I think I stand a better chance.
Yeah.
Back then, I was happy when we got it down in 25 minutes. It was the longest 25 minutes I've ever experienced.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
All right, so something else that I could kind of keep on this. Samuel, welcome. Greetings from Portland. Oh, nice. Something as well as warning signs of ineffective training. Some things that I've learned over the years to kind of keep an eye out for when it comes to ineffective training is, and you'll see this from time to time with classes that are offered. It's an online course, and they send you paperwork or they send you PowerPoints or something. That's ineffective. I mean, it's cool that you get the information and everything, but without physical practice, it's just information. Without a way to test, practice, and theorize how everything works.
It's like a lot of kids these days taking an online PE class.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
Yeah. Or my favorite is when I was learning how to be a mechanic, a lot of the stuff is videos.
Yeah.
We're going to teach you how to be a mechanic through a video. No, you're not. You're going to give me the information, and I'm going to go touch a car and probably break something and then learn, I shouldn't have done that.
Yep.
Without that hands-on experience, it's ineffective because you're learning.
Yep.
Sure, you're getting the knowledge.
Looks great on paper.
Exactly. But when it comes to real-world practice and real-world stuff, it's not helpful.
Yep. Out in
Because
the
you
field,
don't
it's a
know how to
different world.
practice it.
Yep. It is a different world entirely as soon as you get into a situation where, this could actually go sideways really quick. My life is on the line.
A good example of that is what we were doing. Was it last week? We did the class, or was it 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, we were doing it, and we were testing something, and me with having, like I said, no wrestling, no MMA, I'm not an instructor, my little experience, we were trying to figure something out, and I was the one pinned to the ground, and within the movement, I was still able to push my way up past an instructor.
Yep.
And it's like it's that figuring out. It's that real world. Oh, there's that strength that's applied to it now.
Yeah.
And so without that,
now imagine actual adrenaline is involved. It's
wildly different.
Wildly different.
Yeah.
That the person you have pinned to the ground while his adrenaline is going, he's going to get up unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you don't have to know it like heart and hand, but you have to have a really good idea of what's going on.
Yeah, you better know you have pressure on his joints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Guys are working from this one. This was late notice kind of for my secondary. So usually I got McFarland who's read up on the material to help a little bit more. So I apologize for the delay on some of this. So forgive me, guys and gals. When it comes to training, something I'm always going to tell everybody is practice, practice, practice. We say it all the time when it comes to that stuff, and everything that we do. It's muscle memory, that type of thing. It's that continued practice, that continued learning. You're never going to know everything. You're never going to know enough. There's always going to be somebody who's better. When we were doing ours, when I found out that person, who I'm not going to name, had the experience he had, I was taken back. I was like, holy goodness. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's what I was like, seriously? I was like, now I feel well under-equipped for what we're doing right now. And then I found out you had wrestling background. I was like, great, I'm going to get massacred today. Yeah. I came down here to beat up on Roberts, and Roberts is going to beat up on me.
It's all about reps.
Yeah.
It's all about
reps. And
it's
all about reps. It's about practice, getting that stuff in, continuing to do the training, continuing to learn it, and getting more experience in things that you don't know. Mm-hmm. And going to an MMA class or going to, a self-defense class that teaches these things with the arm bars and things like that, to get that repetition in. And some of it as well is getting a willing participant at home to practice with, Yeah. My ex used to hate it because my first week I went home and I was like, let's practice. And she goes, no, come on, let's do it. She hated every second of it. Yeah. She participated, but she hated every second of it. And as soon as we got done, she beat up on me in a fun way. Okay. Let's clarify that real quick. It was a fun way. It wasn't like she was beating me up or anything, but it was like, I can't believe you've done this to me. And
Yeah. I think the thing about reps, it's something to absolutely keep in mind why reps is so important, is when you're out in the field, the first, second, and probably third thing you try, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You need the reps so that you can adapt to what you're dealing with, because it's not going to be what your practice
what your training is.
Yeah.
Everything's always a little different from what you've been training.
Yep. You train so that when that doesn't work, you know what to do.
Yeah. It's the same. So it's very similar to any of the training that we do. I say it a lot to our armed officers when it comes to like fixing malfunctions, mm-hmm. understanding how that tap rack and roll works. It's not about being it's not about knowing that that's going to solve 100% of your problem, because it's not. It's only going to solve a majority of them. But that tap rack and roll will automatically tell you what is wrong and how to fix it if it's not that. If you do that problem-solving solution and that doesn't work, you've got a different problem that you need to look a little bit more into, and it automatically gives you that. So if you've got that repetition and that training and over, when you go to do that, whatever defense move it is, and it doesn't work, it gives you a better pivot point to understand, okay, this didn't work, so I can pivot to this, or I can pivot over here. I can change this a little bit faster than if you were to sit there and have to think about everything that you're doing one step at a time.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, the repetition is key to having any kind of training, whether it be physical or mental. The repetitions is what makes the training useful. Otherwise, it is completely useless.
Exactly. All right. So let me ask you this. Do you have any training tips that you'd like to pass out to everybody out there?
I think the biggest tip I can give is when you're training physically, start off slow. Even when you're experienced, go slow. Do the reps right, because when it comes down to it, practice like you play. If you do the reps slow and correct, you're going to be able to do them quickly and correctly out in the field. If you're If you're practicing and you're getting the reps in, but it's really quick and sloppy.
It's like weightlifting.
Yeah, it's exactly like weightlifting. If you do it quick and sloppy, once the adrenaline kicks in, it's not going to be muscle memory, and it's going to be sloppy out in the field too.
Absolutely. Very similar to weightlifting on that.
Yep.
If you do it slow, you do it not to perfection, but you do it slow with intention, you get more out of it than if you were to just sit there and weightlift as fast as possible to get it over with. Take your time. Something I want to say on it is stretch. If you're going to practice and stuff like that, stretch beforehand. Take it from somebody who's got injuries all over. Stretching is extremely important. We left, and because I didn't stretch that day, I just hopped into it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I woke up the next day and everything hurt. And that's my own fault. You know, I'm wise enough to know it, but I just didn't.
The whole training session was a stretch for me because my face was buried in the mat with my arms bent behind my back.
The whole time.
It was me the whole time. And
we even offered a few times to take over, and he's just laying there. He's like, "No, it's fine.
so just keep going.
I'm already here."
Yeah, I'm already here. I don't want somebody else to feel as sore as I'm going to. And I just knew. My face was buried in a mat, but I just knew.
Your face was red when we were done. By the time we were done, that whole side of your face was...
Pretty sure there's still a sweat mark with my outline on the mat. But
it's been cleaned.
I'm sure. Every time Roses was bending my arm backwards, like, "Hey, you feel this? You feel this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I got it." I think
one of my favorites was he was explaining one of the arm locks.
Yeah.
And he was on you, and he was had your arm like up against his leg, and he went to pull it back just a little bit, and like your whole lower half twitched real quick.
Yep.
And he goes, "Oh, you see that twitch?" And I'm like, "I don't know how you missed it." Yeah. Everybody saw that twitch. I'm pretty sure half a mile away they were like, "He twitched."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He was like, "Oh."
Yeah. And he had a smile on his face the whole time. I couldn't see it, but
no, of course not. No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
100%.
He enjoyed it.
100%. Enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah. That's with a guarantee.
Well, and it was funny. He was like, "Do you want to come beat up on Roberts?" That's what he told me. I was like, "Sure."
That's what I tried to tell you and Voss to rope you guys into coming down. It's like, "Hey, Voss, you want to let off some steam and bend my arm backwards?"
All right. But that's really it, guys. That's all. The one thing I would say, it's been phenomenal having Jordan on, so thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. We're going to let you guys get to enjoying your weekend. We're going to do over the weather really quickly because I got to sign off here in a second. We've got 70 over the weekend, 71 on Monday, 70 on Tuesday, 66 on Wednesday with some showers, 70 on Thursday, 74 on Friday, and 81 on Saturday. So we're getting back into that warm weather, so please dress accordingly. And remember, hydration is key. Hydration is the day before, not the day of. We really appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out with us. It allows us to continue to do things like this when you guys do amazing out in the field. So thank you so much. We appreciate everything that you guys do. Stay safe, have a good weekend, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks, guys.